Joining us now is Elizabeth Pipko, the founder of the Exodus movement. So, Elizabeth, we just kind of showed the video, the advertisement that you guys are putting out right now in key states across the country. But for our viewers, can you broadly tell us about what your movement is?
Yeah, so the Exodus movement has a very simple goal. It's to make Jewish Americans know that their voice matters. It's to make them know that their votes will never, ever be taken for granted again, to give them the information and knowledge that they need to feel like they're making a confident decision, a proud decision they can stand by this November.
And when it comes to the Jewish American population here in the United States, too, if you look at polls, generally they do side more so with the Democratic Party historically. But then you look at the agenda proposals. I'll use Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump right now. Bernie Sanders has a very, I would call, almost anti-Israel type of approach, or maybe I should say pro-Palestinian approach, whereas President Trump, I mean, he's moved the embassy. He has a close relationship with Bibi Netanyahu. It seems like there's a little bit more of a cohesion right there. Can you explain why that difference may be?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I don't think American Jews have ever realized that this could be a factor in their decision. I don't think they ever thought this could be happening. President Trump, like you said, has been undeniably the best president we've ever had for the United States and Israel relationship, and just for Israel as a whole, whereas Bernie Sanders has been the most anti-Israel president we've ever had. It's a scary time, and the fact is that 95% of Jewish Americans support Israel, and Bernie Sanders does not, and he aligns with people who really, really adamantly do not support Israel. So I think it's a choice that Jewish Americans never thought that they would face, but one that's very serious and is probably going to be a deciding factor in where our country goes moving forward.
And I use Bernie Sanders as that example because he's kind of more of the counter, the complete opposite of President Trump, whereas Joe Biden, there may be a little bit more similarities, but he's known a little bit more as the centrist. But I more so want to highlight the fact that there are anti-Semitic attacks happening all across the country right now. It's something that oftentimes goes under the radar, and it's coming from both the far right and the far left, two populations which kind of share this anti-Semitism. Is there a reason why that's happening right now more than ever?
Look, the country is going through some stuff, not just right now with the coronavirus, but we've been pretty divided for quite some time right now, and Jews have been the scapegoat over the years in many countries, in many situations, and that's exactly what's happening now. We're in a time of turmoil, honestly, and Jews are getting the brunt of everyone's anger. It's that simple. In
fact, last time you were on this show, it was right after an anti-Semitic attack in New York, and ever since then, It was big in the news, but it kind of dies down once again, and it's kind of highlighting the fact that maybe people put it to the back burner when it's not in the news cycle. It's kind of an out-of-sight, out-of-mind thing, and I think that's problematic, because you and I have talked about how it's more systemic in this country than people may think. I mean, it comes to members of Congress sometimes making comments that are anti-Semitic. The New York Times has a very real anti-Semitism problem, in my opinion. You could go to cartoons, headlines, the way they cover certain events. Is there a solution to this type of issue?
Look, I mean, it starts from the top, and we see, like you said, the New York Times, people in Congress making these comments and not facing any kind of, real criticism for that. It's scary. There's no punishment for these people, and I think people need to start making these attacks actually be treated like a hate crime. This is not a simple attack. This stems from a very deep hatred for Israel and for the Jewish people, and if it is not stopped at the very top, it's going to get worse and worse, and God forbid we'll see something that we've been, terrified of for quite some time now.
And you and your organization are actually one of the few that is making this a big issue, carrying it not only, to this issue itself, but also into the election. So I do want to talk about your latest ad campaign and what you're looking to do. That ad that we just showed, it targets certain states specifically, and it's ones that could have a big impact in the election, but it's also because of the populations there. Can you speak a little bit about more of the targeted marketing of that?
Yeah, so obviously we're a political organization, and we have, a job to do, and that's to deliver a result in November. So there are swing states here in the United States that people really don't realize could be swung in one direction or the other because of Jewish votes, and that's Florida, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, all these states with a large population of Jews, actually a larger population of Jewish Americans than the difference between Trump and Hillary in 2016. Those are the states that we're going to focus on, and those are the states where we can make a real difference, something that political leaders have not really noticed or paid attention to in recent years.
No, and I think that you're one of the few organizations that are actually kind of making that outreach and kind of focusing on a single issue, which in this time is very important, as you were saying, in a very hectic news cycle. Right. A lot of stuff kind of goes under the radar, especially right now with the coronavirus outbreak. So for all of our viewers, once again, Elizabeth Pipko, you can find out more about her movement, the Exodus movement. Elizabeth, thank you very much for what you're doing, and thank you very much for coming on tonight.